You don't give in to the fact that the reason why you feel how you feel is because you're older. It's not because you're older. It's because you focus on a lot of different things, but you never focus on your health.
Welcome to Homes That Heal, the podcast that transforms your life and home into a sanctuary of health, healing, and happiness. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and your guide to living intentionally. Each week, we'll explore a variety of wellness tools, along with detoxification, weight loss, and anti-aging tips to boost your energy and align your mind and body so you can thrive in life, not just survive. Your health is your wealth, and it all starts at home. Let's dive in and create a home that heals. Hey friends, Jen here. Welcome back to Homes That Heal. Thanks for tuning in today. I am grateful that you're here. You know, I say it often, but I honestly can't say it enough. I am so incredibly blessed I get to do this show. It's always so interesting to me how I get to meet and connect with people. My guest today is Jerry Ty, and he and I met originally because he called me to buy a sauna for his business. So obviously we ended up chatting for, I think, probably an hour or so. We ended up talking for quite a while that day about the logistics of his space, his business ownership, different modalities, the mind-body-soul connection, plus how he was so excited that he was going to be able to help more clients. And I remember hanging up thinking, geez, I am so lucky to get to meet so many incredible people. We stayed in touch. His business is open and thriving. So here we are today. Jerry is the founder of Initiate Vitality, a Houston-based wellness clinic focused on helping people restore their energy, health, and vitality through modern holistic modalities. After transforming his own health using therapies like colon hydrotherapy, IV drip therapy, sauna, and PEMF, Jerry was inspired to create a space where others could start their own wellness journey. Initiate Vitality offers treatments that support detoxification, recovery, and sustainable weight loss, empowering people to reclaim their vitality and feel alive again. I'm so excited, you guys, and delighted to introduce Jerry to the show. All right, folks, welcome back to Homes That Heal. Today we are joined by Jerry Ta. How are you today, Jerry?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh my gosh, it's such a blessing. I know that we talked, I was thinking earlier today, I was like, okay, but last time we talked, it was about saunas.
Yeah.
And it was just about saunas, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I was excited that I get a chance to talk to you on like the full scope of what you do, why you created Initiate Vitality, and kind of just get into the bigger picture of things. So thank you so much for staying connected, following the show, and reaching out to be a guest. So it's a pleasure to have you join me. So first and foremost, you have an amazing story, and there's so many things about what you're doing that align for the two of us.
Right.
But I think one of the things that's most interesting that I wanted to ask you is what happened in Fiji and what motivated you to come back from that event? I know it was a Tony Robbins event.
Right.
Why was that the catalyst? Like, tell me what happened in Fiji.
To answer that question, you have to understand what came before Fiji, right? So you have to understand that I think in 2021, I was in a car accident. My body hurt so bad. I went to the chiropractor, and then some other health issues included, I had a bunch of gastrointestinal issues where, I wasn't the biggest drinker, alcoholic drinker, but, I would go out on drinks, and at this time I would have a drink or two, and next thing you know, I had to throw up, and I just didn't understand why. So I went to go see two different doctors. I mean, I did find out some of the reasons. One of the reasons was I did have, like, for example, a hiatal hernia, and they did an endoscopy on me. They dropped the pill down to test my reflux, and my reflux was kind of high, but it wasn't like crazy high or anything. But after going to two different doctors, both of the results of the doctors were the same, which was they handed me a prescription, and I will tell you, I did not fill either of those prescriptions. And I was feeling, so this was 2022, so I'm 42 now. So this was when I'm like late 30s, 39, 38, 39, right? And I just didn't want, I was not feeling great. Like my body didn't feel great. My health didn't feel great. And I was just like, it only goes downhill from here. kind of thinking to myself as I get older, I'm like, this is not good. So let me, go find some other solutions or other paths that, could help me feel better from on a day-to-day basis. Because every morning I was waking up and I was just feeling the dredge of, just getting up out of bed. It was not feeling good. Um, so the Fiji was kind of the result of actually feeling all those, going through all those issues, going through all the different doctors and kind of ending up with the same result was like, I think it was like a vague suggestion. It was like, well, you could always change your lifestyle. And I never understood what that meant. I mean, I was kind of active, probably, relatively right to the people surrounding me. Probably not the most active. I was way more active when I was in college and stuff. But, you know, so to answer your question is that how was that the catalyst is because what happened before that is that I was really in pain, suffering through a lot of different things health wise. And when I got there, the things that they taught us, and it wasn't anything basic. It wasn't like so groundbreaking. A lot of stuff was just very basic and just kind of changed your mindset on a lot of different things. And we can get into those in a little bit. I
Oh,
didn't
did I
know.
lose you?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
sorry. I didn't know you wanted me to go ahead and tell the whole story.
No,
But
no, no, no. Whatever. I feel like dig, digging into your story, obviously the Fiji trip, something lit a fire in you. So, and I would say that most people, including myself, most of us have some sort of like catalyst or life-changing moment. Obviously, you were suffering. I mean, that's obviously life-changing, but oftentimes there's like you go to whether it's an event or something happens and you're just like, boom, but like this is it, no turning back. Like for me,
right.
I'm pretty open about my story. I had a stroke, paralyzed. I was overweight. I had a perfect stranger calling me fat in a bar one night and completely embarrassed me. There are like moments in my life where I know that I was like, I'm done here. Like this is like a switch just flips, and
Hmm.
it's not like I all of a sudden did a 180, but it's like you're not going to wake up the next day the same person anymore. You're going to start making those 1% shifts. And oftentimes in the health world, I hear people saying like, they get a diagnosis or something severe happens, and then all of a sudden they think they got to go home and throw everything out of the pantry and get rid of this and get rid of that. And I want this modality. And it's like, you just start making 1% shifts, whether it be in your food, in your
Absolutely.
sleep, in your relationships, in this lifestyle. And the next thing you know, it's like the ship is going in a completely different direction and you feel completely different. So, um, I know, we all know Tony Robbins, obviously, and I've never been to one of his events, but everybody talks about him. But I can imagine that was just opened up your eyes to, juicing and different ways you can do things. So, like, what did you bring home from that? What did you change when you came home?
Okay. So, for example, for the first thing is their their concept is that in order to really get things going is you have to detox first.
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually, even before that, from another Tony Robbins event, was, Tony had just mentioned that, like pressed juice is really good and that doing a juice cleanse is really good for you. Just kind of haphazard in one of his other conferences. So, you know, right after that, my wife and I, we actually do a 3-day juice cleanse on a monthly basis. We usually do the first Monday starting of every month, and then for 3 days, and then we would stop. And at first it was, not the greatest experience, but now we actually enjoy when we're doing a juice cleanse. We feel lighter, or I feel like our mind is more clear. I mean, it's great. Now we don't even feel hungry at all. It's just part of the process. I think the only thing that kind of sucks now is that, you just kind of get tired of tasting the same flavors over and over again.
Right.
But
Right.
beyond that, like we're not, starving for food or anything. So at the event, there was something that he added to it was that we do this thing called colon hydrotherapy, where it's kind of interesting, which is kind of like one of our big services that we provide here at Initiate Vitality, where not only what they said is that the food that we eat nowadays is so bad for you that your body is not able to process anymore. So on a basic level, the best food that you could probably eat is like uncooked raw vegetables. Like your body's able to process that very easily, goes through your system, you're fine. And then on the other side of the spectrum would be, for example, fried chicken, right? very heavy, chicken tenders, stuff like that. I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. I can tell you, I eat a lot of chicken strips, chicken tenders. So that's certainly not good. And that's the stuff that sits in your colon, just ferments in there. It doesn't, it's not, your body's not able to process it and you get sluggish over time. So if we're going to eat that bad on a regular basis, then you have to find a way to kind of flush those bad things out that you've already put in your system. That's where colon hydrotherapy came to play. So I went from juicing 3 days in a row. Now, once I finish that, I also do a colonic on a monthly basis as a normal maintenance. So
Nice.
that was one thing. The other thing that they taught us is like from a mindset shift is that we understand that eating healthy every single day is very impossible for the life that we live in, which is like, okay, that makes sense. But they're like, you also don't have to eat bad at every single meal at the same time.
Right. It's like not like you got to go off the rails. It's like the 80-20 or the 90-10 rule. Like just do the best you can.
Right. And the way they broke it down, they're like, okay, let's just say if you have a bad meal, meaning like bad for you, it could taste really good, right? But let's not eat an equally as bad of a meal on your next meal. Like if I'm going to eat a steak or fried chicken or something one evening for dinner, the next day, just have a salad. Like your life would not be over. Like, so once you kind of find that balance, meaning, you have your good and you have your bad also, but you try to minimize your bad stuff as much as you can. But we're not saying that you can never have all the bad stuff that's in your life that you enjoy with your kid. Obviously if you have kids, it gets pretty tough. But at the same time though, certainly kind of be cognizant like, hey, you got to have, that salad to kind of reduce that acid at the same time. So I was like, that makes sense. I'm like, so when I came back, I'm like, okay, 1 day a week, let's start off with 1 day a week for lunch. I'm going to eat a salad. And that's what I do on a weekly basis, no matter what. Because it doesn't change my life in any way for me to eat a salad. It doesn't kill me to eat a salad for at least one meal for lunch per week. Right. So these are like kind of little things where they just kind of get you to change your mindset. They kind of reason with you. It's like, yeah, of course you cannot eat healthy. Like if you were to eat a salad every day, what's going to happen is that you're just going to be like, not a salad ever again. And you're going to go full blown the other way.
Right.
So
and you just get
that's
ticked off. Yeah. Our human nature is to just get irritated with something. Like the balance is kind of where it's at. Yeah, I know a ton of people and I feel like I've been guilty of that as well in the past. I'm trying to think how far back it's been because I like to eat meat now, but we've all done these stints where we've tried to live off of salads for a while, and it's like
chicken breast and salad.
Yeah, chicken breast and salads. Like I remember, I don't know if you've ever, what is it? The cabbage soup diet. Oh my gosh, don't. Like all these things. Like after a few days or a period of time, it's no longer going to be satisfying and you're going to resent it. You're not going to see it as fuel. You're going to be ticked off. And then the whole process of the body receiving the food as fuel goes out the window because now you're mad that that's all you get to eat. So it's like the psychology thing too, where so that's why I like the juicing thing for 3 days. And I want to ask you too, just kind of sidebar, did you make up this juicing thing or where could a person find that? Is that something you just found online? Because I think a 3-day juice is something simple and people could do. Is there a place that you have that available or where did you find that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So before I say that, it's funny because I always try to share what I learned on these trips and stuff. And, I buy it from a place, it's called squeezed.com, just how it sounds. Yeah. Eat at the end. And I think their juice is pretty good quality. I'm not, I don't know how to be able to, do a test to see which juice is better, but they're a little bit, everything's a little bit more expensive nowadays, but they're relatively inexpensive and they sell like a 2, 3, 4, 5 day juice cleanse.
Oh,
and
nice.
I've always told people like, hey, you should try, just get this juice. And people are like, I can juice myself. And I'm like, you can, and you can also like never do it. Because like
one more thing, the juicer's $400. You got to go to the store, peel all this. Like I've done that. Like that's an investment.
So the other thing that they teach us is like, hey, there is no such thing as perfection, right? So certainly you can go out to Whole Foods or your farmer's market or whatever, and buy the best possible juices, go home and squeeze it, press it yourself, and you'll get the best juice possible. And the likelihood of you continuing and doing that on and on is probably zero. So yeah, so their point is like, hey, try to make it as easy as possible to achieve your goals. And there's really no such thing as perfect. So you just try to be a little bit better every day. Is
Right.
each time you try to do something a little bit better. But yeah, so I buy this 3-day juice cleanse from squeeze.com. There's a lot of different vendors. So if you like start Googling, of course, you're gonna get all these ads on you. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ones that they'll ship like nationwide. So they actually, I think, press it. They're located in Houston, but I think they ship nationwide at the same time.
Nice. Okay. Well, I wanna, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I'm all about ease and flow, and that's what I tell, people ask me questions about, how do you pick and choose what you're gonna do yourself, and how do you pick and choose and find quality brands, companies? I mean, it's like that's different for everybody depending on their time and their investment in it, but to your point, yeah, sometimes we just need to find a brand or somebody that we trust. And
Hmm.
then we don't have to, squeeze our own oranges. We can use that time for prayer and meditation in the morning or, whatever else it is that you want to need to do with your time. Um, I want to go back to, I'm dying to ask you about this colonics thing, actually.
Right.
Um, it's a service that you guys offer at the clinic.
Yes.
And I'm curious, and I'm just going to be full disclosure here. I have never done a colonic experience or service before.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of a good reason why, so to speak, and I can't come up with one at the moment. But I just want to ask, just for myself and anyone else listening, like, what is the, what's the common, I don't say the fear behind it, but what can you share about somebody coming in who's never done this before? I don't
Hmm.
need you to go into all the details, obviously, or like the TMI
Right.
details, but like obviously there's so much conversation around this that it's beneficial. But
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of fear, people actually going and actually finding a place they trust to do something like this that's so personal.
Sure.
So, what would you say to the person that's thinking they maybe want to check into it, but like, I'm not sure.
Okay. So to preface that, there's actually two types of colonics out there, or colon hydrotherapy. There's a open system and a closed system. So when you actually Google, like for example, colon hydrotherapy or YouTube colon hydrotherapy, the vast majority, I believe what you will see on like YouTube is actually the closed system where someone's actively in the room doing it for you.
Mm,
Like kind of suctioning it out. Yeah, this is
got you. Okay.
and that's something I've never done before. So what we offer at Initiative Vitality is the same thing. Is actually the same exact machine that I used in Fiji.
Okay.
The machine that we use is called a Libby. That's LIBBE. Is actually an FDA registered machine. So in Texas, in certain states, there's a prescription required to use the machine. Not necessarily it's an elective procedure, so there's no prescription to actually like get the service. But in order to use the machine, you have to get a prescription and a lot, kind of like getting an X-ray, right? Like doctor's
Mm,
orders to get the X-ray. Like you're not using the machine, but is elective. Like you can whatever you need to look at it, right?
mm,
So ours is the open system, and I would say the fear that people have is that you are using a rectal tube, kind of like a straw or a bent straw, and you are inserting that into your rectum. So
mhm.
there is that's not something, I, at least I don't on a daily basis stick anything up my butt,
Yeah.
for lack of
Just say
better
you can't
words.
really get around that though if you're going to
Right.
actually have this or if you're interested in the service. So,
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What was your original question? I kind of went on a little tangent there.
no, I think you described it. I mean, just knowing that there's different types of services, I was actually just kind of curious that, being that that is something that you guys offer at the clinic, I've seen this everywhere. I mean, any health and wellness person that you can follow. You and
Hmm.
we've talked about the Dave Asprey stuff, like all these different summits that you go to. Everybody's always talking about the food we eat, colon therapy, things like that. And I've never really checked into it personally, but I just was thinking that there was some fear around that. People being embarrassed or not sure what that looks like or not sure if that's for them. So I think you already answered that question.
Yeah. I think there is a little bit of embarrassment. I would say, for the clientele. So as I've told you, I do it from a pure health maintenance, wellness
Mhm.
perspective. Interesting enough, I would say that the vast majority of our clients have actually been women that are very constipated. And
Mm.
it's been very helpful for them. This is a very natural way. And to kind of finish off like the process is that there's a base, which almost acts like a big toilet where you're kind of positioned in such a way where you can release, quote unquote, into like this toilet that just drains away just like a normal toilet. But it's a, it's just pure filtered water. It's carbon filter, UV filter that goes gravity fed water. So you're not able to control the water pressure at all. So it's about 22 psi gravity fed that enters your colon. And the longer you can hold it, the more the water itself, kind of like soaking a pan, you're able to get out.
Mm.
From my experience, I would say, yes, I was very scared. I mean, I don't know if scared is the word, but just like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I like? You have nothing, there's nothing similar to expect, right?
Right.
So the first time I did it, this was in Fiji, and I was like, what was going on? And then once the water started flowing, and then at a certain point, you just have to like use the bathroom. You feel like you have to use the bathroom just naturally, and then you just
Mm.
kind of release, and all this stuff that's just been sitting there goes along with it.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for that description. I'm sure there are people, some people are like, what are we talking about right now? But honestly, like this is just one of the things that you can do to maintenance, whatever you want to call it, but just taking better care of ourselves. I mean, we have to be our own health advocates. You and
hey
I
Jen, I lost
share
you.
a similar story, as well as millions of other people that
Jen,
we stepped
I think I
into
lost you.
this wellness world, um,
Hey, it froze.
mostly because health and wellness found us, not because, well,
Hey,
oh,
hey.
you still there, Jerry?
Yeah, I had lost you for about 10 seconds there. You hear
Oh,
me?
okay. Yep, I can hear you now. Where did we cut off? Where did you lose me?
Like right when you started talking on this last
Oh,
piece.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just said that basically it's, I know sometimes it feels a little awkward or embarrassing to talk about these things, but at the end of the day,
right,
we're all humans. We're all dealing with this. I want to come back to something you said about the women's health and the constipation in a second, but really at the end of the day, this is maintenance. This is being the CEO of our health. This is taking care of the one vessel that we were given by God. Like there's nothing embarrassing to say I want to preserve and take care of myself. And as we're all learning, as we get older in age, and as we all collectively figure out that we have to kind of step in and be our own health advocates and figure out how we can create more longevity, more energy, more, more just overall vitality for our lives, especially if we want to live long, long, healthy
right,
lives. Like, what can we do? We can't necessarily control the food industry, but we certainly can control the food we put into our body. We can't necessarily balance everything like craziness. So, here's a therapy that is helpful to help keep things moving. So thank you for that description. I've been curious about that, honestly, like I said, personally, but um, I also wanted to just ask you too. One of the main things, like I owned a wellness center. You guys have a beautiful clinic. Your website is beautiful, by the way, too. I have to
oh,
just
thank
say
you.
it's awesome. Yeah, I landed on it. The first time I landed on it, I was like, water. It just makes you feel good. It's like our bodies are made of this water, and it's I love it. It's very awesome. Um, but I wanted to ask you, what type, like your clientele, like what are you seeing people are struggling with, both men and women? Like, would people come into the clinic? What's the common feedback you're hearing from people? What are they struggling with?
I've been telling a lot of people is that, for example, if you, at least in Houston, at least, and I felt like this has evolved over time, but like, for example, if you go to the grocery store and then the pharmacy aisle, right? I felt like at one point in my life, like the most items in the aisle is always like cold and cough or fever or something,
Hmm.
right? And then that over time evolved to like, we're in Houston, so we have a lot of allergies. So now, like, then at one point, the largest amount of products was actually like allergy stuff. Now, I feel like if you go there, the vast majority of, medicines in the pharmacy aisle is actually like, uh, gas or constipation or reflux and stuff. So I think it's the biggest part of the pharmacy aisle now. So I believe that everyone is struggling with some kind of indigestion or gastrointestinal issues at this point. And
Mhm.
what's coming out is that I think people think that that's normal, that this is just part of growing old, like being older, that like, hey, stomach problems just kind of come along with it. And I guess we're trying to put the message out there like that's not true. It's because what you're eating is so bad.
Right.
Uh, and there's ways to kind of help assist that process rather than just taking medicines or something that just simply mask the symptoms over and over again.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think now that you say that, I'm thinking to myself, you're totally right. These stores are full of solutions, if you
Hmm.
will, or as they would call it, for like putting a band-aid on some sort of symptom that's related to indigestion, acid reflux, constipation. The track isn't moving, like the body isn't moving. And
Right.
so and on top of it too, I mean, we all live in the same like wellness world. Like the supplement industry is $1 billion industry for a reason, right? Like
Hmm.
you can throw all the supplements at it and all the things, and there is not a day that goes by that somebody's like, do you have a tea or like smooth move or like all these different
Hmm.
things that you can do to get things going, and those are good options if you're really struggling with something. But I'm always like, get to the root cause. Like, what is happening
Right.
in your gut? What is happening in your colon? Like, what is happening? Like, what kind of food are you eating? How much are you sleeping? Like, are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking a pot of coffee? It's like, get down to brass tacks
Hmm.
as to why. But it's so interesting to me that so many people are more curious about, like, where's the solution instead of why is this happening? And
Right.
so, go ahead. I feel like you wanted to say something there.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I'm willing to bet that you can name 10 different antacids off the top of your head.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just think about it without saying it. Like, for sure, you can name the ones that's in the little packets, the one with the flip tops,
That's it. Yeah, all of it.
yeah,
Yeah. Tums.
beforehand, the
Yeah.
ones that you take before your meal or the ones that you take after your meal. Like, I mean, it's just, you can name 10 easily. And that's not the case for any other medicine out there.
Right.
You just kind of think about
Yeah.
it.
I have found, I don't remember where I learned this, and I guess you probably could shed some light too. Is like, I'm trying to think who told me it, but basically just eating a ferment of some sort
Hmm.
with every meal is like, whether it's kimchi or sauerkraut or pickles or just anything fermented. I mean, that's pretty much, I don't even know how long I've been doing that now. I mean, I eat sauerkraut in the morning. It's like maybe not conventional breakfast food or whatever, but if you just eat a small amount of ferment, like that's basically helpful for any kind, like probiotic, or what are your
Yes.
thoughts there?
Yeah, so that's actually another thing they told us to do. It's like, I can't remember the exact term, but I want to say it was like something similar to like gut variety,
Yeah.
to get that good bacteria going. But yeah, they say highly recommended eating like kimchi or any kind of, like you said, like sauerkraut or fermented foods
Mhm.
are actually very good for you.
Yeah. If I had more time, I would be doing homesteading like you would not believe here. My aunt and uncle, God bless them, they every year for Christmas send me home with like just a variety of pickled beets, pickled carrots, pickled,
Hmm.
sauerkraut, like all the things. So I kind of have like a small pantry of some of this stuff. But just a couple, anything pickled or fermented is fantastic to add. And it breaks up the enzymes. And I'm not going to get too scientific-y here, but
Right.
it basically just breaks up the enzyme or allows the stomach to process the food and break it down the way that it's meant to, which then moves things along. So that was a
Yes.
game changer for me years ago.
No, that's awesome. Like I said, that was just
Mm.
actually something we learned, which I didn't get too detailed because, again, you kind of you start with one and then you start stacking, right? One
Yeah.
becomes a habit, and then you start stacking more and more, and then your lifestyle has completely changed.
Yeah. So I saw recently, or I think maybe you wrote to my team that you were at the Health Optimization Summit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know. So I wanted to ask you, how does that, like, where? First of all, where is that? Is that
So
in
they actually
Texas?
have two events. One was this one was in Austin. I think they have
Austin.
their other one was actually usually in the UK.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, I'm a huge fan of the biohacking conference, which I've
Right.
attended almost every year for 15 years. It's now called the Beyond Conference. Dave Asprey made that
Aspirin.
announcement. Yep. While we were there, he's shifting it more into like conscious therapy, like consciousness, which I love, which is actually something I was going to ask you about. Like, what you're seeing at the health optimization summit, it just kind of feels like we're shifting more into less biohacking, like less. I don't say modality because there's still these modalities like saunas and cold therapy and different things you can
Hmm.
do, but there were so many therapies that had to do with, like, conscious healing, meaning, like, meditation,
Absolutely.
mindfulness, like, every gadget you could put on your head and, visually see, like, Dave's thing is, like, it's called the Wonderland. It's literally
Hmm.
5 stories of this hotel. I could get lost in it for days, which I do, but there's so much therapy around our minds
Right.
versus what I call, like, transactional type things. So,
Mhm.
what are you seeing? What's your favorite? What did you find at the Health Optimization Summit?
So I'm gonna just change a little bit because this is even more recent. But I was at the Vibe conference, which is the Vitamin Infusion Business Expo,
Mm. Mhm.
and they had a device, and they did not have this at the Health Optimization Summit, but they had it here. It was called the BrainTap, where it was a visor with headphones, and it plays like there's an app that comes with it, and it's a guided meditation with like lights and binaural beats. And
Mhm.
I tried it when I was at this conference. This was at the beginning of last month, so beginning of October, October 4th, I think. And I bought it right away. I thought it was one of the most amazing things ever.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it, like just the meditation. So my wife, I don't use it as much. I probably need to use it more. But my wife loves it so much. She uses it every morning and every evening before she goes to bed and then before she goes to work. So, I mean, there's a concept like that Tony Robbins teaches that you have to prime your mind to be ready for the day. If you wake up and you're expecting like something bad's going to happen, well, it probably will, right?
Yeah. You're
So you
probably
got to
gonna be
prime your
right. Yep.
mind. Having gratitude is one of the most important things to have. Like, things may not go your way, but there's always other things that's really going your way also at the same time. So if you want to focus on all the bad things, you're going to have a pretty miserable time. But if you want to
Mm.
focus on the good things and knowing that there's obviously bad things or challenges or problems, but that's just part of life and growing at the same
Yeah.
time. So with that said, so I bought this brain tap and we're actually implementing it into our clinic here as part of our IV drip. So we're actually rebranding our IV drips since we haven't gotten much traction. I think there's a lot of
Mm.
IV drips around here.
Mm.
And I decided to let's call our IV drip experience the IV drip plus experience.
Oh.
Yeah. And the reason why, and I would say like when I was, kind of doing my research, my market research and visiting all these IV drip places, I would say the experience of every drip was very similar, and it was actually pretty disappointing. So the vast majority of these IV drips, they have these very bright rooms where you sit down and they come to you and they insert the IV in the catheter there and they connect you there. So in order to achieve that, they actually have to have the lights on very bright. So so as you're getting this IV drip, you're like in this super bright room. And that's for the convenience of the nurse so they can see what they're doing. But you're also getting the drip there. And then, when you're sitting there, seeing what everyone else is doing, which is mostly they're on their phone and probably getting some level of anxiety, like being stuck here to this IV drip, got to answer this phone call or answer this
Right.
email. They can't because they're getting that IV drip. So I think our goal is to like, hey, when you come in our clinic, you're getting like a mind and body reset. So you're gonna reset your mind with this brain tap. This you get some
Mm.
meditation if you choose, or you can get on your phone and get your anxiety going because you're kind of helpless in this state at the moment, and then you're gonna get your IV drip at the same time. So you're gonna replenish whatever nutrients that you're needing.
It's awesome. Okay, I have 2 things to tell you. One,
Okay,
this just dropped in my head. You could call it brain drip. That
that's
would maybe that would be
yeah.
kind of marketing. The second thing is I have a brain tap machine also. I've had it
Okay,
for a few years, probably 4 or 5 years maybe. It honestly, Jerry, has changed my life. I'm so excited that you and your wife have one because it is amazing. It's one of the I would say the 5 therapies that I use consistently,
Mhm.
um, after having my stroke, and so I have a hyperbaric chamber in my house,
Okay.
and I love to habit stack, right? So I was like, "Oh, what else could I do in this chamber?" Because I didn't really wanna bring my phone in and, exactly everything you just said. I'm not interested in revving up my anxiety and my nervous system. I wanna calm it down while I'm breathing in this glorious oxygenated air, right? So what could I
Right.
do? BrainTap. So I've used it for years. I love it. It's it's been so beneficial. I mean, they've got gratitude options if you're feeling like you're in a funk. For people with sleep, there's a whole mess of options for sleep and the different, different levels of sleep. I particular, and I don't know if you know Dr. Patrick Porter, but uh, maybe there's a connection where I mean, they work with people in collaboration too, and I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not speaking for him by any stretch, but I know him, and he's going to be on my show soon, actually. They do things in collaboration. So, like for example, I take Stem Regen stem cells. There's a 14-minute stem cell meditation that Christian Drapo records in his voice, which is amazing, that walks you through what you should be thinking after you take your stem cell, and you're using your mind to send signals to the area of the body where you want to send those stem cells. It's wildly beneficial. And
Mhm.
everything you just said, like you'd be like this is a completely different opportunity and experience for people to set down their phones and really go inward and
Mhm.
be mindful of like what is this drip or what is this nutrients,
Right.
nutrition that you're putting into the body. Where are you sending the signal? Where do you need the help? What do you want it to do for you? So the brain tap and the light therapy stimulation, like working different sensories, is amazing. But um I think that's an amazing idea. I love it. And
Right. And we're talking about
I've been
20
advocating.
minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah,
like
people,
an hour or anything. It's like, hey, your
even
drip is
if it
about 30
is.
minutes.
Yeah. Like,
Right.
what do
But
we do? Yeah.
well, for people who are like, not very open to the idea, it's like, hey, your drip is about 30 minutes. Just try this
Mhm.
brain tap for 20 minutes. You're kind of stuck here already anyway, so just give it a shot. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people will be very open to, if you kind of frame it like that. And once they experience it, they're like, wow, this is, much better than sitting in this really super bright room and just looking at my
Right.
phone and trying to, you know, feeling different ways and having all kinds of anxiety and stuff as a result of it.
Well, the results will speak for themselves because people really attune. I mean, if people are just running about their lives, and I've been there, and I know people who do, like, you're doing all these things, but you're not really actually paying attention to like soak it in. You're doing the drips, you're going to the gym, but if you're not mindfully present to what you're actually doing, it's not really serving you as much as it could. I'm not saying it's not
Right.
serving you well, because it absolutely is serving you, but more so than not doing it. But if you're not tuned in, like, you're missing out, you're
Hmm.
missing out. And so, if you can set the phone down or set the devices and just really tune in and go inward, the benefits will completely outweigh whatever it is that you're missing on your phone, unless there's something very urgent, in which case you shouldn't schedule appointments at that time. That's what I would say to that. But, um, I can tell you that when I use my brain tap
Hmm.
and I'm dialed in, whether I'm, doing it with the stem cells or just going into the chamber with it, it's I mean, the day is amazing. Like, it just sends you off on a fantastic, fantastic mindset. Um, Also, full disclosure, I shared a couple weeks ago on my show about some work I'm going to be doing in the new year. And it relates to my niece, my teenage niece who lives with us now, who came to live with us earlier this year. Something I
Right.
kept very private, but she's been with us for a while. But she's given me permission to now share and speak on her behalf, which she'll probably be on my show at some point. We've talked about it. But this kid came to us. Let me rephrase. We asked her to come stay with us. Suicide, tried to take her own life. I mean, some very deep, serious things, bullied in school, not finding her worth, not loving herself, just a tremendous amount of things going on. And I introduced that brain tap to her and used it. And it's one of the things. I mean, she's been living with us now for a few months, actually since March of 2025. Completely changed her life, by
Right.
doing some of these
That's
therapies,
awesome.
and the brain tap has really helped her rewire her brain to understand that she is a soul, she's here for a purpose, and it really kind of switches the gear. So I always tell people, you want to have a different life or a different day, you have to do something different. And you got to get your head in in a different headspace. So I'm excited for you to introduce that into the clinic. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited also.
So let's talk about the clinic. Actually, I want to talk about the sauna. Tell me what's the most fun about having the sauna in the center.
So, I told you I have a sauna at home, and
Yep.
so it's something that I use on, every other evening.
Mhm.
I think when I first got my sauna, I was trying to use it every night because, like, you just feel wonderful when you use it. And then I think I started my sleep started getting disrupted a little bit when I was using it every night. And then
Mm.
luckily I'm an X or Twitter user quite a bit. I find more enjoyment on Twitter and X. And then I was reading because I follow like Brian Johnson and Gary Brecken, Huberman, all those guys. And then Brian Johnson had made a post that like, hey, if he was like showing his like electrolytes levels or something where when he was using a sauna every evening that his electrolytes was depleted and was disrupting his sleep.
Mm.
So I went from doing it every night to doing it every other night, and I enjoy it.
That
Amazing.
seemed to be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's actually one of the most common questions that I get asked about sauna is when should you use it and
Right.
why? Obviously this isn't like a blanket statement for everybody. I always tell everyone like your lifestyle and your schedule is different. Everyone's is a bit different, but it can be disruptive at night. For a couple reasons. You're messing with the electrolytes, you're messing with the serotonin, melatonin.
Hmm.
You're also revving up your heart rate like a workout, basically.
Right.
So you're, depending on the temperature and depending on how you decide to use it, but typically speaking, to get in those detoxification ranges, you're going to crank it up a little bit to get a sweat session. And it's basically kind of like a workout. So
Right.
everybody kind of knows what that euphoric energy can feel like when you have a great workout, take a cool shower, and then you're off to the races for the day. uh, it's sometimes hard to wind down. So I usually recommend to people if you're going to use it at night, and I'm not sure what time you use it, but give yourself an hour or two before
Hmm.
sleep if you can. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I never use my sauna at night right before bed. I absolutely have, especially if it's been like a real stressful day or I just need some warmth. Here in Wisconsin, it gets cold in the winter months. And I'm just like, I just want to go sit in my sauna for 30, 40 minutes and just soak in the healing heat. I mean, you can do that whenever your body's calling for it.
Right.
But it is important to do exactly what you're suggesting is like you have to adjust. If it's disrupting or not serving you well, you got to
Hmm.
make a pivot on it. What are you seeing? What's the feedback at the clinic? People enjoying it?
I think people love it. I mean, the people who come in here, they're already very familiar with the saunas and what they get out of it. So I would say the vast majority of people they use it like, I guess, kind of like unwind, like
Yeah.
more of a relaxing state than anything else. But yeah,
Mhm.
people, the people, I don't think we've gotten anyone that we've, like got convinced them to use a sauna. They were already looking for a sauna, so they kind of know
Right.
what they were getting. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. 10 years ago, infrared saunas was like, what? Nobody even knows what they are. Now everybody knows what they are. And yeah, that's fantastic. What do you think? Oh, go ahead. Were you going to
So
say
I was
something?
gonna say, so I do not. So what we have here is the clear light sauna, and I've
Mhm.
used it once here, and so I have a different brand at home, and the reason why I went with the other brand was because it was the combination. They have a combination
Mhm.
sauna, so they have infrared and the
Uh-huh.
regular. And I've actually still have not used the the heater yet at all. So I
Oh,
kind of feel like I wasted this money because it gets hot enough. But
oh my gosh, that's funny.
the clear light, man, that it is definitely more intense heat. I mean, both are good saunas, and I got my reasons. I have my reasons why I bought the other one.
Mhm.
They're like what they're really known for is like there's no varnishes at all, like literally
Yeah.
on the outside or the inside. So it's like, I have allergy issues. I was like, you know what? Let me go with a zero varnish even from the outside. So their outside surface is a little bit rougher, for example. It
Mhm.
doesn't look as nice, but there's literally nothing on it at all. So, but the clear light sauna, I am super impressed how like hot it gets. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, it's almost like a regular sauna, even though it's just an infrared sauna.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, as you know, I've been in the sauna business industry, I guess. I don't like to say business for, wow, 15, 16 years now. And again, common questions come up all the time because there's so much data flying around. Because ancient wisdom, heat therapy is, saunas are not new. They've been around for centuries, right? And so heat therapy is fantastic, but much of the data and the longevity and some of the longer research is done on traditional saunas. And
Right.
170 degrees is the number that everybody wants to get to for heat shock protein activation. So again, not a day goes by where somebody doesn't call me and they're like, "Hey, can your sauna get to 170
It's
degrees?"
Indy.
So infrared works differently, as you know, but people underestimate the intensity
Hmm.
and the effectiveness of a good infrared sauna, right? Like
Right.
there are a lot of unfortunate saunas on the market, just to say Costco Wayfair, like sorry, but they're not healing heat is not their wheelhouse. But when you're talking reputable technology, like it's tapping into the skin and muscle tissue, elevating your core temperature, and it is hot because the core temp is rising. It is no joke. I mean, you can control the temperature, of course, but when you put different brands side by side, and I don't
Right.
know if you want to mention the brand, it doesn't matter to me at all, but um, they're all a little bit different. I know the company you have
Sure.
at home, and they're a great company, great sauna, but it is a different technology. Clearlight's kind of tapped the market with the ceramic carbon combination heat, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and to even get a little bit more technical, and because I follow this one group. What is it? The infrared sauna group is ran by
Oh,
Matt Justice.
Matt, yeah, Matt
Yeah,
Justice Group,
so
yeah,
that's where I
everybody's in
found
that
you.
group.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's where I did a
that's
lot of
how
my
everybody
research.
finds me.
Right.
I
so I,
I told somebody called me, said I was a legend the other day. I was like, I am not. I don't know why.
so I would say like there's from a technical standpoint, because the Clearlight has the near, far, and mid infrared.
Mhm.
While the
Yeah.
vast majority of other saunas, you're only going to get the far infrared.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a step up. I mean, and it's not for everybody. I will be honest. Like my mom, certain people like don't want the more hotter heat intensity, and that's totally okay. The far infrared is still fantastic, and it's the workhorse wavelength, in my opinion. So it's
Hmm.
still a great sauna if you're going far infrared. But you have the Cadillac. You've got that full spectrum,
Right.
and that's a different level of heat. That's what I had in my center as well, and yeah, it's very effective. I love it. It's
Yeah,
good.
I
I
like it
think it's
too.
funny too that you've no one's ever told me they bought that combination sauna and you haven't used
I
the
haven't used it.
other. That's so funny. That's
I,
hilarious.
I mean, because the other one, it gets up to 165, which is pretty warm
It's hot
already.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hot enough. But I was so to the reason why was because I watched a lot of so even in Fiji, they brought in she wasn't there physically, but through Zoom, we had Dr.
Mhm.
Rhonda Patrick on, where she
Oh,
was answering
nice.
questions to the crowd. And of course, she's super big on the Finnish heat shock proteins and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was just this big battle from within myself. I'm like, God, I need the heat. I need the heat shock proteins. And then I enjoy the infrared too. It seems great also. And I'm like, well, what do you know? There's a sauna out there that does both, but I
Hmm.
haven't used the traditional part of it yet.
Yeah. I think that, and oh gosh, I don't know if I should even say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I believe that Hippocrates Health Institute, who's had Clearlight saunas on their campus for years, almost 10, 20 years. They have like 30, 40 saunas on their down in Florida where people go,
Hmm.
Hippocrates Health Institute, they go for, a variety of things, but they use the heat therapy and clear light. I want to say they did some research on it and it was like 132 degrees and an infrared
Hmm.
sauna was comparable to 170 range of a traditional sauna as far as how the body is responding. Again, I don't quote me on that. And maybe I'll find the study on it, but it's important to distinguish that so people aren't putting themselves in a more stressful situation. And in infrared, it doesn't work the same. Infrared's entering the body, elevating core temp. Traditional
Right.
saunas just heating the airspace. You're just in a hot box, basically. So
Right.
very different. And yeah, I'm really grateful that we're connected and that you guys, decided to put this in your center. It's a great tool and it's
Hmm.
goes along with everything else that you guys are doing there. So real quick question I wanna respect. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour for you. I'm curious, I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
1, if you had to pick 2 or 3 wellness modalities that you would recommend for people to consider putting into their home, for those that are maybe going to be into the new year thinking, okay, I'm going to be my own health CEO and I'm going to bring some tools into my home. What would you say, like off the top of your head? What are your favorites, or what do you think has helped? I don't want to say served you the most, but what are you seeing even at the clinic? Like, what do you think is most helpful for people to consider?
So for me, top of the list is going to be the sauna.
Mm,
And I wish I could say that I've used like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. I have not. And I want to say even like Brian Johnson said, it was like sauna's like the top because the sleep quality that you get as a result of it. And from, if you ever follow Brian Johnson, from his perspective, sleep is everything. It regenerates the
mm,
cells, you recover, there's a recovery period. So if you can get better sleep, then you're going to do better like the next day. Your body's going to be able to recover and stuff. And the sauna is the one thing that actually helps that the most. So
right.
for me, like I said, I use it on a consistent basis. My wife uses it on a consistent basis. You always hate when you buy like some kind of gym equipment or health equipment and then it just sits there in the room.
Mm,
The sauna has not been the case. Like we use this thing on a consistent basis, no matter what. Even even more so when we're tired, right? Like, hey, let's try to kill the night early so we can go in the sauna before we go to bed. So
mm,
it's been an amazing thing. I think it's like I feel like everyone, certainly if you can afford it. I mean, they have it at gyms also, so you don't have to buy a sauna for your house.
right.
But I think people can certainly find the benefit if they were to use a sauna. Everything's on a consistent basis, right? So whatever you can do on a consistent basis. Number two, maybe I'm biased, but like I said, I've even made a whole business out of it. It's our colonics because I just feel like we eat so bad, and our body is not. I mean, could be related, could be unrelated, right? But like for example, you know, 50 years old was the age recommendation for colonoscopies. The recommendation nowadays is 42. I
Mm.
mean, for some reason, there's stuff in there that's causing cancer at a younger and younger age nowadays that no one seems to have a clue about why people are getting cancer at such a younger age. Just,
That's
just,
interesting.
just to throw that out there. There's no studies or anything that says it, but maybe you can make some correlation to it.
Yeah, I think we could probably put those pieces together.
Yeah. So for me, the one was the sauna and two is the colonic machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you excited about for 2026? You guys, anything exciting new going into the new year?
No, I mean, we're just hoping to, like I said, we're still rather new. And I
Mhm.
think my biggest message to people, is going forward is to like, hey, age is really a number and that you don't have to like capitulate, meaning like give in to the fact that the reason why you feel how you feel is because you're older. It's not because you're older. It's because you've let you never focus. You focus on making money, you focus on a lot of different things, but you never focus on your health. So I would say the message I would have for everyone in 2026 is like, hey, take a moment, even a small moment, and just focus on your health. And then you can see like small differences, and then that would trend. It'll cause you to trend a different way. There won't be changes overnight, but at least you'll trend in a better direction than you're going at the moment.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautifully said, beautiful words. That's why you and I are friends. That's why we align. That's why so many people in this wellness world, or the wellness space, or people stepping up and creating these centers and clinics and just being light workers to help people
Hmm.
understand that we're here to thrive. We're not here to just survive.
Right.
um, and we have the one vessel that we get to carry around with us every day, and if we want to enjoy life, we should probably just take care of ourselves. And if you feel yourself slipping or in a funk, or like you're not sure what to do, like I said, you just start with one small change, and or maybe go try a service or something that you've not done before.
Right.
And ask for help in different areas. And the colonics thing is definitely, that's an interesting statistic, or interesting share about backing up the age, or
Hmm.
younger age. I think that's, I'll say, kind of alarming, but kind of a wake up call for all of us, that we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and we should be more mindful.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you so much, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Jen, thank you
Um,
for having me on.
yeah, it's an honor, obviously, and I'm blessed that we're connected. And anything that we can do together, you let me know. How can people find you if they want to follow you, if they want to visit the clinic in Houston?
Yeah, so just how our name is Initiate Vitality. We're on Instagram, our website, initiatevitality.com. On all the different socials, we're all is in the same name.
Yep, they can find you. Like I said, your site is awesome. So
Yeah.
anyone who lands on it. All right, Jerry, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, friends and fellow wellness warriors, thanks for tuning in today. If this show was helpful and inspired you, please head over to Apple or Spotify to rate, review, subscribe, and follow us, as well as share it with your friends and family. It's a fantastic way to grow the show, expand my reach, and teach others how to create a vibrant life they love. If you're ready to invest in your health and purchase a Clear Light Sauna, hop on over to jenhellerlifestyle.com and send me a note. Thanks again for tuning in. I love you. I'm grateful for you, and I thank you so much for your support. You are the reason I do this work. You are the reason I do this show. And you are the reason I get up every single day with a burning desire in my soul. Cheers to your health and happiness, my friends. We'll see you next week. This podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to be substituted for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you think you have a medical condition, consult your licensed physician.